news, while everyone was talking, and Amir also mentioned that why fake news spreads. We'll talk about that. What is the need for fake news to spread? Why do we share it? But during crisis, what happens is that the timely dissemination of information is very important. And it's a coordination during any crisis, whether it is a health crisis or a natural disaster. And when it's what happens is if there is no authentic source, because people are afraid, perhaps they share anything that comes their way with this in mind that they may be saving someone's life, while this is not often authenticated, whatever the information is. What we have seen since COVID started has been numerous cures, numerous tricks, numerous hacks to do at home, and also many other news associated with multilateral organizations, with government in terms of availability of a particular medicine or not. So let's start with this, that what are the various ways? So in today's time, social media indeed plays a great role, but there is a traditional media, there is a one-on-one interaction which is not happening. So what are the various ways that fake news is spreading and how social media platforms can regulate this? I believe we've seen certain regulation measures being talked about in Pakistan as well, recently at a meeting of led by the NCOC. So we'll talk about that. And the important part, is it even possible to regulate? Because where do you draw the line between free speech and freedom and then curtailing such news? So let's start with you, Dr. Schirch.
Okay, thank you very much for hosting this, this forum today for us to talk about this dire problem. As you know, here in the United States, where I'm located, we have a tremendous problem with COVID-19, with over 60,000 new cases every day and many, many deaths. Let me just start by saying the scope of the disinformation. So the University of Oxford looks at all the different information and declares that 2/5 of all COVID-19 information is fabricated, it's made up. So 2/5 of the stories that are floating around specifically on social media are false. Another research, documents that there's 55 private Facebook groups in Europe and the United States spreading false, dangerous information about masks not working or telling people not to wear masks. So the scope of the problem is huge. There's a variety of different motivations for why people are spreading this disinformation. I would say most of it is politically motivated. So we'll talk later this morning, this afternoon, on terror groups and specifically anti-government forces that are trying to undermine governance and legitimate authority. But there are also strange, what we call them clickbait motivations. Literally, an investigation found 2 high school students in Congo, in DRC Congo, making up disinformation stories about COVID-19, spreading them around purely for people clicking on them, and the ad structure of social media will then reward them, will pay them for every time somebody clicks their story about some crazy source or origin of COVID-19. And so that's a purely economic motive. They're actually having fun and they're making money spreading disinformation. So what is going on now in the research world are people are trying to trace down all the different sources of who is creating this disinformation. And because really the technology companies need to be stopping this, and they need to be pouring money into the investigation into who's spreading it. Most of us who monitor the technology companies say they are not doing enough. We tell them about conspiracy theories and fake news and the danger of it to people, that it's causing people to lose their lives because they're not wearing masks or they're not taking social distance carefully. And some posts come down, but many of them still continue about the 5G networks, which again, we'll talk about later this morning. So I think you've mentioned already in the introduction, we do need regulation from technology companies, but the thing that I think is most important is digital media literacy, where the public, where civil society becomes more aware of disinformation, the motivations behind it, and starts fighting it, because in Latvia, Lithuania, Ukraine, they have civil society, they call them armies, cyber armies of elves that are undermining the trolls. Often in their case, it's Russian disinformation, but they're really, civil society is empowered to understand how to identify it and prevent it.